This is a mock interview conducted by ForumIAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent academicians, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
Sir, may I come in? Good afternoon, sirs.
Good afternoon, Khushbu. Please sit down.
Thank you so much, sir.
So, Khushbu, you are a public ad student and your BSc is pretty unique in different streams you have done. You also play the ukulele. Okay. So, since you are public ad, what is the importance of research in public administration?
So, as we can also see from the work of F.W. Taylor, it is valuable when scientific evidences can be found in the work of public administration or administration in general, so that work can be done based on those evidences. So, in that sense, research might become important.
So, you think it is might or it is important?
So it surely is important. While I believe that public administration cannot always be seen from a lens of scientific evidences, however, if those evidences are present, it can surely be helpful.
Okay. Census is an instrument for effective public administration. How do you react to that?
So I would surely agree with that. Census is very important because it gives the current data, and with the help of that latest data, one can analyze how past schemes or programs were influential in improving certain parameters maybe, and based on that further action can be taken.
So what is so special about your BSc? So it is a combination of various streams, right, from communication, human development. So what is this BSc? Can you elaborate a little more on it?
So I have done my BSc in Home Science Honours, and I especially specialized in food and nutrition in the various subjects.
So you've got human development, you've got communication, so it's all part of home science?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in human development, have you read the behavioral and cognitive aspects of human development?
Yes, sir, we did.
Okay. Can you explain some of it?
So human development can be considered from womb to tomb. So when we talk about it, we can see that during infancy especially, it is said that it is the most cognitive active stage, because during that time period the most development takes place. So based on that, it can be seen that more play and sensory activation of infants should be done. Further on, we see that when the schooling period starts, at that time, there should be greater focus on informal as well as formal education to ensure cognitive development. And as one grows, So
you think cognitive precedes behavioral or behavioral precedes cognitive?
So I would say both of them go side by side,
okay,
because one keeps working on their behavior, and as the cognitive senses keep developing, the behavior also keeps modifying based on that.
So behavior is a later phenomenon? So once you have a knowledge of the subject, then your behavior keeps changing, or is it merely cognitive information that flows across you?
So I would say it is both working together.
Have you gone through the budget 2023?
Yes, sir.
Why would somebody call the budget balanced and inclusive both? The present budget, I'm talking of budget 2023.
So it can be called balance because in my opinion.
So give me reasons why it is balanced, give reasons why it is inclusive.
Okay, sir. So it can be called balance because it ensures a balance between capital expenditure as well as welfare budget, which can be seen in the capital expenditure was increased by 33%. So that can be considered a big jump. At the same time, the NFSA budget, it was ensured that NFSA this year would be merged with the PM Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, so that free food grain can be provided. So at the same time, the welfare part was also ensured. And so inclusive, I believe there were various schemes that were launched, like the savings scheme for old age people and the Mahila Samman savings scheme for women. In that sense, various inclusive schemes were also introduced. Also, sir, the PM PVTG scheme for vulnerable tribes were introduced.
So what is that Vishkarma scheme for tribes?
So I have not read much in detail about it. I
Okay.
only know the...
So why is it inclusive? Because all these elements are included in it.
Yes, sir.
Now, somebody would argue that the budget has a lot of demerits in terms of the negative aspects in a budget, like GDP to debt ratio, high cost of inflation. What are your views? How does do you also hold the same view?
So I would say the GDP to budget ratio, the GDP to debt ratio that is going on, that has been a problem since the pandemic years, and it cannot be corrected in just 1 year. It would take gradual time. And similarly, even as we come to the inflation, it is because of a lot of global factors that have been working. A global economic slowdown is being observed, which has led to an inflation globally and also in India. Various things are being done to control it, especially even by the Monetary Policy Committee. So I would say that I would not particularly call it a weakness of the budget.
So you think the monetary policy revising the repo rates is a good thing for the economy?
So with respect to the recent increase in base rate, so as per the economic experts, it is being said that
No, I'm asking your view. Forget about the experts.
So based on what I have read, I felt that it is being said that the inflation has now become entrenched. So in order to get over that entrenched inflation in the longer run, it was necessary to increase the budget, the base rate right now. So I think it was a right decision.
Are you familiar with FDIs?
Sorry, sir?
FDI,
Yes.
foreign direct investment. Are you
Yes.
familiar with it?
Yes, I'm generally...
So have you known the issue, or you not clear on FDIs?
So I would have to read more about that.
Okay.
So Khushbu, tell me, what is Sensex?
So Sensex is the market, the rise and fall of the capital market that goes on.
Sensex is rise and fall of capital market.
So the stocks that keep changing.
So Sensex is stocks.
So
Well, yesterday only we had the latest rate of inflation, retail inflation. What's that?
So I have not read yesterday. It was 5.7%, the latest that I have read.
Has been revised. That was for December. Now we have it of January.
Sorry, sir, I will read upon that.
Right. Suppose I tell you that the rate of interest or rate of inflation in US is higher than the rate of inflation in India. What does it tell about US economy?
So when the rate of inflation becomes higher, the purchasing power capacity of a person decreases. So if the rate of inflation there is higher, it might lead to the products becoming more expensive, and thus the people being unable to buy as much products, or their consumption either might decrease, or it might become expensive for them to get those products.
So you mean to say that in US people are finding it difficult to buy products? You are saying this?
Yes, sir, if their inflation is high.
Okay. What is this Adani and Hindenburg report that we are watching almost on daily basis? What are the major issues involved from the angle of a regulator? Suppose you are finance secretary. tell me, what would be the issues that will be important to you?
So it can be seen that when the Hindenburg report came out, there was an extreme fluctuation in the stock market. So from a regulator point of view, it might lead to certain challenges for the people who have invested in the stocks, and they might also be worried that their stocks they might be losing their wealth. So I think from a regulator point of view, that is to be taken care of. As has also been recently said that a committee might be formed to look into this issue to ensure that their the confidence of investors is ensured and their wealth is not eroded.
Can Government of India order that the price of Adani's shares shall not go below this limit?
So I am not aware of any such provisions.
Okay.
So you have graduated from Lady Irwin College. So who was Lady Irwin?
So Lady Dorothy Irwin was the wife of Lord Irwin, who was the 30th Viceroy of India.
Okay, so she was the wife of the Viceroy,
Yes.
Lord Irwin. So when was he Viceroy? His tenure? Can you tell me?
So 1927 to 35, I think.
35.
So
You are nearby, so slight variation is there. So any major events that occurred during his tenure?
So the Simon Commission, then the Purna Swaraj Declaration, and also the Civil Disobedience Movement, and also Irwin Gandhiji Pact.
Okay, Irwin Gandhi Pact.
Yes, sir.
All right, very right. Certain islands were named after in Andaman Nicobar. They were changed recently. Are you aware?
Yes, so they were named after the armed personnel recently.
Yes, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So, do you think that Lady Irwin College should also be renamed?
So I would say, given the changes in time, it can be seen that as has been pointed out, that decolonization of minds should be done. I think if such an initiative is taken, it can be taken, and so in the college as well. Apart from Lady Irwin, there were also many Indian females who were instrumental in the establishment of this college, and surely maybe a step can be taken to name it after them.
But there were certain positive aspects of British Empire also. It is fine, and it is actually commendable that we are talking about decolonization. But there were certain positive aspects of British Empire also. So, do you think that decolonization, if we are pursuing that path, we should neglect or we should erase them from our collective history?
So I would not say that we should completely erase the good parts especially, but if one sees a holistic picture, it can be found that the exploitation and things done, the atrocious acts committed by the British were so much more. The autocratic leadership of the British was so much more that it is needed that some kind of
No, I'm talking about the positive aspects only. I've said that it is a commendable point that we are talking about decolonization. I'm talking about the positive aspects. There were certain positive aspects. Can you name a few? That what were the positive aspects of British Empire?
So the development of railways and...
But that was to exploit the country, right?
Yes, sir, but...
It was only a side.
Yes, sir, but the infrastructural development that was done, it helped in the longer run. And also, sir, the many political aspects were taken from the British, like a bicameral legislature or the bureaucracy structure. But sir, over the years, it can be seen that it was modified as per Indian concerns.
Right. So tell me specifically. So, for example, let's discuss Lady Irwin College only. Should it be renamed? Yes or no?
So I think such a step can be taken, and other Indian females like Srimati Rajkumari Amrit Kaurji, who was very instrumental, and she also gave the logo for the college. Maybe it can be named after her.
All right. So tell me, what is gender budget?
So gender budget is a specific budget that keeps the gender in mind, which is specifically how much outlay is being done in schemes for gender specifically, and also how much outlay is being done especially for women-centric schemes.
So what is the gender budget this year? in percentage terms?
So
There are two
I'm-
components to gender budget. Are you aware of it?
so
Okay,
I will
no
look
issues.
further
All right,
into
thank you.
So Khushbu,
Yes, sir.
if I say that there never was a good war or a bad peace, what do you make of this statement?
So when we say there never was a good war, in my opinion, it might mean that war might there never was a good war. War states that war is never good, and even if done for any particular reason, be it political or geographical or any such way, war is never the answer. The second part is.
And there never was a bad peace.
So I think it means that peace and non-violence can never be bad. And even if one wants to oppose something or protest against something, peace is never a bad option. And it should be the way that should be sought. Dialogue is always the way forward. So
Then what about Mahabharata? Was it a good war or a bad war?
so I would say it was.
Because it was done to uphold dharma.
Yes, sir. So the scheme of things at that time were such that it eventually led to the war. The events that happened, like Draupadi's Chirharan and other such events that took place, it eventually led to a position wherein war was inevitable. So of course, surely the war helped in upholding dharma, but many steps, if had been taken at previous levels only, maybe such a war could have been
So
eliminated.
it was a bad war or a good war? So for example, the American Civil War, which was done to remove slavery and keep the Union together. What about it?
So I would not say that it is a bad war, but I would say even if we see the Indian movement, it was seen that there were so many atrocities being done by the British, but we chose the path of non-violence, and we chose a path wherein we tried to use constitutional measures or
So in our national freedom struggle, there was only non-violence, no violence?
So there was violence, and but I would still say that probably the path of non-violence should be
So
followed.
recently, if you have read newspaper, some sections in the media, there is a controversy regarding appointment of a judge in a state. Are you aware about it?
Yes, Srimati Gauri.
With respect to that particular appointment, what are the lacunas, what are the loopholes that have come to surface in the collegium system? Particular to this case, there have been certain loopholes that have come to surface. What are those?
So first can be that it was stated that when appointing of judge is done, only eligibility is considered and suitability is not considered. So maybe
Yes.
that can be considered as
Yes.
one lacuna. And secondly, sir, the lack of transparency in appointment of judges, as in what standards it was done on, what was the basis of the appointment of judges on which they were selected.
Okay. Why do you think the representation of women is so less in the higher judiciary?
So I believe it can be due to various reasons. One is historical reasons, that is, they were historically not provided much access and opportunity to rise to the higher ranks. Second can be infrastructural challenges. It can be seen many a times that proper infrastructure facilities like women toilets and such things are not available in judiciaries. So
Women toilets, etc. You are saying infrastructure.
Yes.
But I am talking about higher judiciary. In higher judiciary, I am sure there are sufficient amount of infrastructure for the judges. Sufficient protocol is there.
So, but lack of those infrastructure in the lower judiciary.
No, I'm talking about higher judiciary.
So it disincentivizes them from rising up the ranks.
Okay, correct. Good. And what about litigation? The representation of women in litigation. Is that also an issue?
So I would have to read up more on that.
How can we increase the representation in judiciary?
So, in my opinion, maybe a step such as a reservation can be
Okay.
taken, or other steps wherein maybe incentivization can be done at the school level. There can be greater, at the school or institution level, there can be greater meetings that can be done with role models as the women who are working in the judiciary currently, and career counseling sessions can be held wherein.
Why is Indus Water Treaty in news?
So it is in news because right now India is asking for a modification of the treaty because Pakistan was seen as countering the Kishan Ganga and Retal rivers that projects that were being implemented by India. And for that reason, while there is a three-step structure, whereas there is an intergovernmental panel, then there is a neutral expert, and then the court of arbitration comes in. However, Pakistan is not agreeing on the intergovernmental panel, and it is simultaneously asking for a neutral expert and the court of arbitration at the same time. So with that regard, it can be seen that India is asking for a modification of treaty.
Okay.
Khushbu, you come about as a very pleasant candidate. You are very polite, you are very articulate, and you are, able to express your views in a very cogent manner. And there are other positive aspects like a lot of questions, you were thinking, you took time, there were some analytical questions also, some required your personal opinion. You took time and you gave a very intelligent and very thought out answers. And you also know where you have to stop, like whenever you are not sure, you simply say no. So these are the very good aspects, and I think even in awareness levels we tested you around wide range of subjects. On most of the issues you were aware of it. Again, there are some improvements I think in personality wise and in your the way your body language and the way you deliver. So everything to me it seems perfect. Just some gaps in the knowledge. I think that is understandable because nobody is supposed to know everything.